really mean? Joining us with a lesson in how to do that is the Chief Quantitative Analyst for the Wiley Group, Alex Cabot. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Tracy. I appreciate it.
So we have three questions that we should be asking about our 401k. And the first one is, do I have multiple funds that do the same thing? Explain that question.
Yes, one of the biggest things that we see when our group evaluates potential clients' 401k plans is that there are a number of funds that all invest in the same type of investments. And for example, there's hundreds of blue chip stock funds out there. And they all, by and large, do about the same thing. And if you own 5 or 6 blue chip stock funds in your 401k, you're really not adding too much. You have an illusion of diversification because you have 5 different line entries. But since they're all moving in lockstep, you really haven't added much value.
So what should I be? Give me a grouping of a couple of things that should be there.
You definitely, depending on your individual risk tolerance and what goals you have, you should have some type of a mix between stocks and bonds and cash in the portfolio, as well as breaking up the stocks across domestic and international, as well as small cap, large cap, and mid cap. And you can further diversify your bonds as well, and that's part of it.
Let's talk about this next question we should ask. Do you have exposure to different types of stocks and bonds? Now, you're saying stocks, bonds, cash, but now we're breaking down the stocks and bonds, the types of those.
Right. On the front page of your 401k, when you get a monthly statement or a quarterly statement, you'll see a pie chart, and it shows you X% in stocks, X% in bonds, X% in cash. And that's great. It's a great way to start the analysis, but there are lots of different types of stock funds, the ones I just mentioned. And a portfolio that's made up of, say, 60% small cap stocks and 40% high yield bonds will function very differently and perform very differently from a portfolio that's made up of, say, 60% blue chip stocks and 40% treasury bonds. And that's something you have to be aware of and be very careful of how you're allocated and really focusing on risk tolerance and your goals.
And let's talk about evaluating the volatility of your investments. If you evaluated that or just the return. You have to look at both sides, I guess.
Absolutely. What most investors see, individual and professional alike, is what the return of an investment has been over the past 1 year, 3 year, 5 years, sometimes 10 years. And that is a good starting point. But it doesn't really tell you much about how the investment will perform. And there's not much that really will. But standard deviation, which is a measure of risk, and that's often available on 401k statements, can be a good place to start.
Okay, great. These are all great questions. Thanks very much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.